very much, Dr. Nicole. And next, we have Nicole Thomas, who again lives on Rochester Road here in Carver, and she'll explain her situation.
I've lived in this town for 17 years, and I've actually helped to harvest the very logs we are discussing. I walk on the bog with my dogs, my children bike ride, fish, and also walk on the bog. To make this not long and drawn out, but I'll explain how every bog work. Bog owners take the water from a shared water source, and they flood the bog halfway. Then they have a machine that churns the berries to have them fall off the vines. They're mixing berries and water all together. Then they add more water, corral the berries into a circle, drop a box, and then they pump the berries out, and they take out weeds, vines, frogs, turtles, snakes, and then they bring the berries to the plant. When they are done, they then return the water back into their water source, whether it's a pond, a water hole where the neighboring bog owners will then use the same water on their bog. And the cycle keeps going on and on and on for years and years. In front of me, I have a jar of berries. Half of the berries were grown 6 inches from the poles. Which ones are they? And who wants to eat the ones that I'm discussing? Also, from driving these poles into the ground are the bits of the CCA poles throughout the vines and the bogs that are left behind. And this is just a small amount of what's left behind. These chromated copper arsenate poles was the cheapest alternative for putting up these panels in the bogs. We all know this is a $52 million project with more coming up. As we saw from the revised agenda from October 20th, Zero Pond Street was slated to discuss timber poles as well. And who knows how many more there are to possibly come to us as well. Pinegate Renewables stated at the last meeting that they are our neighbors and they wanted to hear our concerns. I think the answer is to do the solar project the right way without any health concerns to people, food, water, soil, and the environment. In Law School 101, you can take any fact and use it to your advantage, or you can use it to your disadvantage. Yet here we sit here, we say 75% of the bog will be fine, and will not have CCA in the soil and the water. You can also take the exact same fact and turn around and say 25% will be contaminated. Bottom line is the risk should be zero and not in a hypothesis or with the use of the residents as guinea pigs. The fact that we have to sit here and even discuss that there is only a percentage or a chance, an ideal situation, I find this to be rather appalling. We're talking about people, households who have to drink the water from the wells. Their wells are 20, 30, 40 feet in the ground, and these poles are 20, 30, 40 feet into the ground. Last meeting, Pinegate geologists and scientists knowingly stated that with rain and the treatment of the poles, that 2 by 2 feet of every pole, the soil and the water will be contaminated with CCA, with 3,100 poles already placed. In turn, this is in their ideal conditions. They are saying they are contaminating 3,100 cubic yards of soil and cranberries. It was also noted by them that acidic and wet conditions will accelerate release of chemicals. This soil, when removed, will be seen as a hazardous waste along with the poles. Tremont Street site also abuts the Weweantic. Let's say the poles get left in and we test the water every 6 to 12 months. We test the soil every 12 months, test the berries every harvest, and we find out in 2, 3, 5, 7 years down the road, yeah, this was the worst thing that we could have done. So where does that leave us? By then, we've all had our kids, our family, our neighbors in South Carver drinking the water and exposed for years, and I don't see this as a win. If I were to buy a cornfield in Iowa, I wouldn't walk into their town meeting explaining to them what I feel is best to their residents and corn growers that the CCA poles would be fine in their crops and water if I drove them down 30 feet. And you know why? Because I don't live in Iowa, and honestly, I don't know one thing about how corn works, what they use to treat corn, how to water the corn, and how to pick the corn. Yet here we are, we have Pinegate Renewables telling us what is best for us in Carver. What is best for us in Carver? They don't know anything about cranberries. They've never had a solar project on a cranberry bog. They don't know anything about peat moss or how to harvest. They don't know how the water moves, and they don't know anything about our aquifer. I think this is a no-brainer. The poles come out as soon as possible, and Pine Gate Renewable uses an environmentally responsible method to, yes, this will cost them more, but at the expense of our health and our environment, I don't think it's a cost for us here in Carver. We can give the job back to the people who put the poles in by giving them the job of taking them back out. Thank you.